attention. In fact, Brother Pharr and I were talking on the way here from Los Angeles about the Jim Crow era, which really was a transition around 1964, right before the revolts. And I think we have to remember that this particular period of time, from 1965 through the 1970s, was a period that presented a leap in consciousness among our people. And this was a time when we were, you know, young people, teenagers. We were 19, 20, 21, 22 years old. And so we were a part of this movement to transform consciousness, to transform social conditions in our communities. And we had the aspiration of actually building a nation of people. And so this is the vision that we came into this period with. The film points out certain moments that happened during that period that were unforgivable moments. They were moments that we wish we could take back. But at the same time, we have to remember, as Brother Pharr pointed out, the vision that we came to this with. And this is the vision. This is why we are here. This is the responsibility that we accept to come here and to share with you, those of you who are of the generation of Greg Everett. And I admire Greg for taking on this project because it's very important for us to share and let you know what it was, what it felt like for us to come into this period and to help transform our communities. And so this is, as Brother Scott pointed out, we accepted the baton, and we have to pass the baton on to another generation. And this is why we sit here, so that we can try to inspire in you those things that were inspirational in us to help transform our communities. Because the struggle continues. You know, the struggle has not ended. The struggle is not dead. The struggle continues. And so this is why we're here today.
As you were saying, your mother gave you an exposure to that, and then you linked up to and took and influenced, as Dr. Scott said, influenced him and other young brothers. Now you're like a bridge to the youth who are now. What do you think folks need to see, need to think about, need to do, and how do you feel about you and other brothers in that who are the bridge between these generations, and what mission is still left for you, and what should folks younger than should be doing, and what kind of young musicians, rappers, what's happening with them, what do they need to pay attention to this, and how do you feel about where we are at this point?
Well, first of all, I have to say, Greg, man, the film is a hard one to take for me, and it's a beautiful film, very hard to take too. It's like it pieced some parts of a puzzle that was in my head in my upbringing that made sense. I heard of the names, and later on you backtrack and you read the information, but that was a revisitation into an emotion. I mean, you brought the emotion to that period. I think that's really important. I wouldn't even say younger people, it's for everybody, that our history does not get misplaced or just forgotten, but it takes fighting. You have to have to fight for it. Because like Brother Pharr said, I mean, the COINTELPRO is viral as a mom, it's viral more than ever. One of the fights in the Black Panther Party is a fight for education. And Malcolm X said it best, as my wife says all the time, it's like, every year or every phase or every generation, racism comes out every year like a new model car. So we got to recognize exactly what to fight for, how to define freedom. Freedom for some people is having things, but you don't have yourself. Before it was like the fight to have yourself. Now people say, well, now we have a black president and we have things. So we have everything except for ourselves. And that's the definition of freedom. How you convey and get it across to people. I won't say young people, because youth is no excuse. First 10 years of my life, this was necessary because it was your life. It was your community, your neighborhood. So it was no excuse to say, I'm too young. I brought my nephews here, they friends, and they had a good time popping in the pool, and my mother said, get your little asses up out of the pool. We're going to check out a movie that might have zoomed past their head from 40 years ago. But the fight is, if it's going to be for education, and be it through the arts and culture or whatever, you lace it. How do you make it viral into the minds of everybody who's sitting in a captive chair in an educational system that gives you nothing, doesn't even give you yourself? People go to school in order so they can get the dying dollar to get things. So all this has come to pass. The economy is dropping down. Healthcare is not even a thought. You know, all these things are coming to ashes, and we don't have ourselves. And we need to recognize that what to fight for. But it got to come from emotion. And this film hits an emotion to start. It's a spark for a plug. But you got to fight for it. And you got to define what your fight is for. You know, and my last statement is that the fight in my next 10 years of my life is maybe making a fight and saying, okay, what stops the sewage coming through the mass media to make you ignore and not even think about this? What stops you from rolling on a B103 in this town, which gives you nothing? Or Captain Hughes Network? Or people that you're afraid to name because you're afraid that it might inflict upon your dollar or your job? You can't stop the sewage leaking into people. We can't present something, and we can't even reinforce something in a climate that's so bad for us to make something so emotionally, felt for us to begin to fight. So I think COINTEL is very viral in today's media, and somebody might just throw, oh, media. That's just something superficial. Media has turned into the Pied Piper, which makes us ignore even people in our own household that we can talk to and influence. Can you roll up on a radio station? Can you roll up on a TV network with the same passion as somebody actually went to? Because number one, if you do that, you rest assured going to see the police again. They're going to arrest your ass because you rolled it up on a communication center. And when countries get taken over in parts of the world, the first place they go to is the communications network. Now we know it's more complex. It's TV, radio, and now it's the intranet, as people missay. But you better realize how to stop that sewage in order for you to begin to fight for the minds and the souls and the existence of us as